Okay, thanks so much everyone. John Dobson and Salman Barat. Put your hands up and we can go for it. Yes, Gavin.
You're obviously, it was a frustrating game for you, and I'm sure you had your heart in your mouth for a lot of it. But do you sort of maybe think that a game like that where you eventually get the 5 points, and you've got this, there's this sort of attitude you're just going to win all the games at home. Do you think maybe it was good to actually to start off the sequence with a game where you had to dig deep in the end?
Yeah, look, I don't think we dug deep, but the rest of your point I completely agree with, Gav. Because we knew this is the best, statistically the best attacking ball in hand team. We thought we'd prepared for it, clearly hadn't. We probably Connacht. We're extremely fortunate. I don't think we dug deep. It was an obstruction call. I don't think we held on the line. We had 8 backs. We were really unlucky in some things. Like Dion Free put all our forwards on, and Dion breaks a tibia, and we now got Ben Load on the flank and against all attack team. But still, the truth is, those last few, there are 2 things we talked about a lot. How they ball in hand. We've actually got 8 backs on the field. The way they opened us up towards those last few minutes. And of course, I just put in the middle of the field, so we give no arms, and JD playing the ball on the ground. So I don't think we dug deep, but maybe what I do agree with you is in terms of that wasn't good enough. If we, it's not going to automatically happen here. I think that was a hell of a wake-up call because that performance doesn't get us close to Benetton. I think we all accept that,
John, would you say that's the best and the worst of the Storms you've seen in one match?
I think it's spot on. Spot on. Okay, spot on. That, to me, was our worst defensive performance, not just this season, I'd say, over quite a few. And we actually worked hard on it. I'd say, look, we can be very, Connacht got a really good attack. We saw it in the week, ball in hand, the most line breaks, the most meters made, everything like that. But it wasn't, we knew it was coming, and we were defensively very, very poor and disciplined again. So obviously some worldly tries. I don't think we were at our best and hit our flow much, but we almost scored every time we got the ball too easily. The only one was that thing under the poles where there was a coaching call at the end to go for the scrum, and I think we made a mistake there. It's very tricky when you've got a scrum that's pulling away, which I thought the referee handled really well. Yeah. But at some stage, there's a risk, isn't there, Moon? Because he's going to say you hit early. So I thought he was very brave and got it right because they were clearly not taking the hit. Yeah. Unfortunately, that scrum was the one he went free kick. I think then with down, we were 7 points or 5, I can't remember, 7 clear maybe. With them, somebody in the bin with a line, maybe should have gone for the tap and go, but we put the message on the scrum, and that was a mistake. And then they marched up the field, with it.
Stephen.
Dobbo, just from the defensive point of view, and I apologise for going into something negative here when you guys pulled off the win. So
there's no redemption of the cliche of the 5 points here is straw.
But I mean, do you think that there's possibly a system issue there? Because it seems to be that they are, and it's not just Connacht today, that there's a huge amount of space in the outside field. Now, kind of, if there's a rush in midfield, I guess it's kind of understandable that there's space outside, but there's also probably maybe if the execution is different, then it will be different. So I'm sort of trying to figure it out in my mind, is it a system issue or is it execution?
Well, I think to a degree, there's a personnel issue, which I think we spoke about. We haven't got Rua and replaced it there. Like even at the end there, we closed late. Sacha closed very late. Do you remember down the far side towards the end? You could just screaming close, because that's the thing. If you get a rush and they get you over the bridge or they get it onto the wide thing, we've got to close that, and that's what we're not doing. So whether that's system or personnel, I don't doubt the system. The system coming is obviously the speed. The system does involve they do get the bridge part to close and we hunt from the inside. That was missing today. So I don't know the answer if it's personnel or system, but it was horribly exposed. They could have scored another try in the first half. Did score and probably one, in the start of the second, towards the end of the second, where they knocked on. That's before we even go to the obstruction one. So I couldn't know.
Yes, good question, Scholar, but just your scrum, you must be very pleased with the scrum. That would basically won you the game, and also the Sacha show. I mean, he was outstanding today. Yeah. Must be pleased with him, obviously not having money, but Sacha's folded that boots really nicely.
Yeah, he's done very well. Really well. Can't fault that performance. Scrum, I'm very chuffed, because there was something Mr. Mallet wrote. We missed the days of, which we do, Kitself, Dweber, and and France, and that we can go with towards the end. Vernon Matongo, JJ Kotsa, Brocky, Sazi, that was really, really, really encouraging. I want the scrumming to be a culture, and that's what I'm frustrated about the defence, because the defence has always been part of our culture as well, hasn't it? And that's what just wasn't there at the moment, today, I don't say at the moment. Today.
You're right. Okay. Then next is JP.
Double just quickly, wat ek geland under the poles. Made a tackle there. I don't know if you recall that. Under the poles, about 2-3 minutes to go, and eventually they had to fold and knock the ball. Yeah, moments like that. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but it's not just making the tackle, it's the timing, it's making sure they don't go over. That was a massive moment, because if they scored under the poles with 1 minute to go, it's game done.
Yeah, Warwick, it's not the first time he's bailed us out this season. He's got the most steals.
Yeah.
It's the truth. I mean, your 15's got the most steals. I know. Look, I mean, Connacht deserve credit. We were very, very lucky to win that game. We weren't good enough today. We know that. The only thing is the cliche of the 5 points. I think, Gav, your points well taken. That we've got a massive wake-up call. I think for months we talk about the 4 home run, that's where we're going to charge, and it's just not going to happen.
Just double as well, you touched on it earlier, you sent all 6 guys on. Literally 30 seconds later, it happened to Dion. When you reflect on that, do you think you maybe could have kept it back, or was it just part of the plan? Was it just throw the dice?
It wasn't part of the plan. What happened was we gone from that period where we should have scored in that period, and then we're giving away. And now they were getting into our half, and they were getting on top, and they made their subs. And I thought Marcel was tiring. I thought Paul, hasn't started again for us. So that was, and then. Sazi, there was a medical call. So he come back from the HIA and his groin and stiffened, so that was medical. Ali, I think, hasn't played 60 minutes, so it was in retrospect one too many. So what I probably should have, it wasn't a plan. What I probably should have left Marcel a bit longer and kept Lowe back, because we were, I'll be honest, we were absolutely scrambling. I mean, we were coaches that messaged each other was make a plan, because I've never had that before. We've actually got back, nobody. Seven on the flank, no dance scrums on the flank. Because
the thing was for us is like, and then my last question, there was a time when you had 7 in the scrum, which was a massive call, because you had Warwick in the bench, you had 7 in the scrum, they had 8, it was their ball, and then you got the penalty. So I think that was what was happening in the box? Who was saying what?
No, that was a deliberate, there was a risk, there was a roll the dice one, but we thought our scrum was so dominant that we could handle the 7. We actually put on the call. There's a call we got, which I'm not going to say, for an 8-man scrum, but we called it, but even though we had 7. So we said, how do you call an 8-man scrum when you got 7? We got the reward. I must have been in that chaos. That's where the team really did show. I know we didn't. I said to Gab, we didn't fight at the end, but we did show some character and composure, because it was chaos. You can't. Dion and Paulie are rippers in the maul. So you're a forward short, so you've got to go to a 5-man maul to try and take out the time. But you've only got a centre there. So it was wing. It was tricky.
Pizza.
Tomo, they vowed that they will fight your fire with fire. They did so today. Benetton took the Lions on at the Lions game. Is there areas that you feel, apart from maybe the defence that they got out wide, is there areas that you feel you need to possibly tighten up ship for what Benetton will bring?
I mean, Benetton, I made a comparison with them when we had the coaches meeting this morning. Well, they beat La Rochelle at home. They're a bit like La Rochelle, a big team, but with that sort of physicality, but with Mancello and Brex, it's very much like what that La Rochelle team looks like, So, it's a more physical challenge, perhaps, than the multi sort of metronomic systems and attack and ball in hand play of Connacht. But we've got to speed up our own breakdown ball. I thought that was poor. Our set piece was excellent. That for 1 second. But I don't think we have to look much beyond discipline, faster ball. We said before, the discipline, in this case, discipline, faster ball. Exits, every time we scored, they got into our 22. I mean, it's old. Doc Cecil Marcel was very fond of used to say, you haven't broken their serve till you've held your own. And that's what we clearly were saying.
Lloyd.
season, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a very serious injury.
Oh, sure.
So mine, I wasn't very happy with Dobbo. It's just he played very well when we were talking about Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu. But the first 26 minutes of that game, and when you've got to fly off doing those kinds of things out there, what does that do for you guys, especially when it's try, and you've got this guy just having a game like that? I mean, how special is this guy and continues to be, and what he did out there for that first half an hour?
Yeah, I think we all know that Sacha's he's an unbelievable player, and you know the scary thing is that's only the ceiling for him. He's 22 years old now. Still has our lifetime ahead of him. And it's scary where he can go to. I mean, he's carried us through the past couple of games now. Yeah, so he's really an exceptional player to have in the team, and he gives a lot of players around him confidence. Myself, he bailed us out a couple of times, like I said, and he's got an accurate kicking foot. And in a test match like rugby like this, that's really what you need.
Cool, Kevin.
No, just because yesterday you spoke about Dion being important because of bringing that leadership on at the end as well. Obviously, he wasn't there. Who was actually leading right at the end?
Rocky.
Was it Rocky?
Yeah, Rocky.
And you think there's a problem because you've now got a situation where how many more games is Neil going to sit out? Another 2? Or is it 3?
Yeah, he did his tackle school this week.
Austin's playing captain.
Because you've got Netherlands side.
Basically, should have taught him to get both his mates, keep his head on the ground, his face on the mud. So we've taught him to do that. We've definitely got another 2 games to go.
Yeah, okay, so just looking at your depth of leaders, you still got actually good guys that come back into the system. But yeah, obviously, because you lose Dion now and Netherlands not available.
Yeah, I got Rocky. Yeah.
Okay, so you're right.
We've been, yeah.
It's just touching on the youngsters, Saji Sandy and also Paul de Villiers, they outstanding games. Paul de was really good, so just the ball carries, offloads, also the breakdown. So you must be pleased at least with Dion out, at least you got cover there.
Yeah, we got the future there. There was always this transition plan, and so wanted to end like it did with Dion with a minute like that. But yeah, Paul great. I think Vermatonga also. It's a nice idea was to try and keep Rocky. Obviously, they got ruled up when France got lost, but Porterville is outstanding. I'm not too worried about 6. There's still a couple other loose forwards in the mix. Still got Low. I know BJ's out. We've still got Low. We've still got Billy's available. We've still got debuts, so we'll be okay.
Yeah.
John, sorry, I know you touched on Dion, but given what happened to him in the World Cup and then what he's gone through in the last 3 years, I mean, it's quite sad to see a guy, I mean, try so hard and work so hard to get back, and then that happens, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know what this. I don't know where this leaves. I saw him, to be honest. I mean, you guys I like. I mean, from the looks like he's got his broken tibia, and that's. We haven't scanned him or X-rayed him yet, but that was the first thing. And, I mean, Keke was out for how long? Close to a year with that. So you'd have to do the maths to realise we're probably at a crossroads, which I hope is not the case.
Yeah, that's what my question.
Yeah, so that's where we did some of that X-ray, but that's the first diagnosis. Often with those things, it depends on the nature of the break. If it's a clean one, I mean, Josh Bull, we think is going to be a stellar 13th, and the same injury a couple of weeks ago, last week, wasn't it, Mike, in a friendly for them 21s. It's 10 months, so yeah. Hey, man, last time he said after La Rochelle last year he didn't want to finish his career at a golf cart. Don't Dion is going to say I'm not finishing it like that, so let's hope.
All good? Thanks, guys.
It's his second tibia break, so he's not back till next another 10 months. So it was like and he broke it in December, so it's like it's a 15 or 16 month injury. Sure. And then so on top of having just spent close to 9 months out. So I don't know where that leaves. No, he's going to play again. He's young.
Just Marnie as well. How far is he still?
He's training properly now, so I don't think he makes. Doesn't make that on time, but after that he's available.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Thanks, chaps. That was work.